All right, this is David Frost, mystrategicforecast.com. Thought we'd give a quick update on the overall market, the direction, what we're looking for in the coming week. So I thought we'd start with the SPY, which is the tracking ETF of the S&P 500. And what we find here is we're getting into what's called no man's land. We're at new highs, which what happens at new highs is it becomes very, very difficult to calculate what a target price would be before any kind of a pullback. I know that's what everybody's looking for. That's what the emails coming in are saying. Where's the top? When's the pullback coming? So that's why I thought I'd put out this video, because we're getting so many questions about this that I know it would be helpful if I was just able to put my thoughts out for everybody to know what we're thinking. So my ultimate target, and this is a mathematical analysis, which I'm not saying is 100%. I'm just saying it's a mathematical analysis that gives me a target on the S&P of 1826. That corresponds to about 182.26 in the spider. And I get that through mathematical formula using some back testing, and it's pretty complex. Nevertheless, it's not 100%, and I'm not saying I'm long the market. I'm not saying I'm waiting to get up there, because we have some resistance points at 1810, which would be 181 on the SPY, and that looks like a pretty good resistance. And if we go underneath 193 on the SPY, 170... What's the number I'm looking for? 179.30, pardon me. That kind of initiates another trigger down. So what we're looking at is a top end of 1810, 1825, 26 on the SPY. But I'm not long, I'm not short. What happens is you have to look for a pattern. And if you don't see a pattern, you don't play. You play high probabilities, not low probabilities. Right now, if you're long, it's a low probability we're going to keep moving up. And if you're short, it's a low probability that the market's going to turn anytime soon. You just don't know. And let the market tell you what you should do. Don't try and wish your trade upon the market. That's probably the key for today. So also, what I wanted to mention is the reason why I still say there's a pullback, and maybe we could be coming into it in the next week, because two reasons. The next week is really the 1-year anniversary of a pivot low. If you go back to November of last year, let's take a look. November, I think it is 18th, I want to say. Let's just take a look here if we can get this chart moving faster. Okay, so where are we? November 25. November 25 is a pivot low last November. So, coming into the next week could be a pivot. So that was a low, and really this could be one of three things coming into next week if we do pivot. We can have an acceleration to the upside, all right? We could have a pivot of an inverse cycle, which means we pivot and go down. Or we can just keep going up and have a blow off top like we did something similar to 1973, 1974. And that could be the final top, and that would come sometime in January, maybe a little later, maybe in February. So if that's the case, we'll see what happens. But here's why I think a pivot may be coming up. I want to take a look at the IWM, which is a great proxy for American business. This has got like 5,000 of, small to medium businesses in this index. This is American business. And what is American business saying? American business is not at a new high. So I find that interesting. The Dow's at a high, the S&P's at a high, and the IWM, which is small business in mainstream America, did not make a new high. So here's what I would say. If IWM does make a new high, then I think we could be in for that blow-off top like we saw in 73, 74. But if we pivot down this week, the IWM would definitely have been the tell. So that's kind of my thoughts. I'm going to wait for a pattern to set up before issuing any new trade alerts. We do have a short out on one pharmaceutical stock that our members got. And actually, I put it out to everybody. It's Celgene. That's a short on Celgene, coming in for pattern and resistance related. reasons. So that's my thoughts. Divergence, IWM versus S&P, and could be in for a turn this week. We'll see what happens. More to follow. Thanks for listening. This is David Frost, my strategic forecast. Thanks.